Coinbase talk, which might be a little uncomfortable for some of you, but I bet if I asked, maybe all of you at once have had a Coinbase account, and they've undeniably been essential for Bitcoin adoption in the US.
And we are going to be hearing the thoughts on the next bull run from Amir Edjlali, head of product compliance at Coinbase. Try not to get too triggered by the word compliance, and at least give him a listen before you line up the firing squad.
It's definitely an important topic, so let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Amir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys. All right. Thank you for coming on Wednesday morning after the after party. Glad to see everyone here, and it's been a really great welcome and reception from all the Bitcoiners that are attending the conference. My name is Amir Edjlali. I head up our global product compliance strategy team. And essentially what that means is that our products that are launched globally in every market, we want to ensure it is compliant, can scale, and ultimately we stay on the right side of a very dynamic regulatory environment. And I'd make even the argument that that's been proven to be a really good competitive strategy for us, both in the US and other markets that we're in. So today I'll talk about preparing for the next bull run, some things that Coinbase either has done as part of our culture or we're doing intentionally, and even just areas that I think I would suggest for either business owners, leaders, future leaders, many that are still going down that Bitcoin journey, can consider. So we'll jump into it. And the first thing I want to make sure to cover is our mission and vision. Like many other companies out here, our goal is to provide economic freedom for the world. And I'll get to the first lesson of preparing for the next bull run, and that's having something a bit more tangible than a mission, because the mission is, again, most Bitcoin or crypto firms out there, we're all trying to do the same thing. The distinction is how we do it. And so for Coinbase, we have a very specific role that we want to play in the market across the global market and be a net positive for adoption. So one of our vision is to get to 1 billion users on chain. And this is one of my first points of preparing for the next bull run, which is have something a bit more tangible in your product or service than just your mission. You can call it a vision, you can call it a North Star, but essentially what you want it to be is visible to everyone, not only your customers, your team. When we were in the last bull run, everyone was moving so fast. And if you don't have alignment that no matter where you are in the organization or your customers, where we're all moving at the same path, where independent decisions are being made, day-to-day collaboration, we're still all aligned on the end goal. So this is one of the first things in preparing for the next bull run is have something visible internally, externally, that's a bit more specific than just your mission. All right, so I'm going to cover a variety of topics today across our customer experience, our strategy, our operations. I hope there's something here for everyone, and some of this may be familiar, and just reassert the confidence of what strategies you may be currently taking, and again, hope there's others that are insightful and new. All right, so first we'll jump into customer experience. We'll break it down to 3 categories: our onboarding, our core products, and innovation. So first is onboarding. And I think if you've ever used Coinbase, you probably have seen that onboarding is not always the easiest, not only for Coinbase being the only regulated and the only publicly traded crypto platform, but obviously a lot of products and services offered. So what we believe in is analyzing your onboarding flows, making sure that the way that you've architected and developed onboarding, you can see your onboarding funnel, you see drop-off rates, you find out the story that your users are telling you during the onboarding process. And when you compare bull run versus bear market onboarding analytics, you start looking for certain themes, certain trends. Maybe during the bear market, you have a lot more confident users, deeper users, whereas during the bull run, onboarding may experience a lot more challenges. So do that retrospect. Have someone in charge of kind of this whole onboarding pillar. Also, the idea of incremental onboarding, which is being explored on not having your users and your customers for whatever product or service you're offering go through the entire onboarding flow just to use either just to use like one product or be more of a consumer of either your content. So have options for your users. If maybe they don't even need a login or account set up just to access, your news feed or whatever you think is important to help educate those users. And then your customer journey map, if you haven't done one of those and you're in product or you're out there on the marketing side, very important to do. You can look it up. But we think about our customer journeys that map out your onboarding flows, your channels of onboarding, where you're looking at the ease of use, the friction of your users, the challenges they're facing, and you're really being intentional on addressing that. So that's onboarding. Core products, I like to think of what products or services your organization or whatever your idea or as you're starting up your own business offers that survives both bull and bear markets. So that's when I think about core products. It's independent of market volatility. It's what users go to. It's what users look for your products. And first there is foundational maturity. What I mean by that is as we're in the bear market now, if you have core products that are missing good UI and design principles, if they're missing strong social presence, QA, content for users to understand how to navigate, if the architecture on the back end could be optimized, take this time now to mature your core products and have an idea of what done looks like so that when we do get to the next bull run, they can scale with confidence. And then phased launches, just a general good practice. It doesn't have to be a technical product. It can be a service. Phase your entries of any changes to your core products so that you can have quick test and learn loops. You have a chance to explore what feedback your users may have and then increment on that. So try to avoid any launches that are just going to everyone at once, and if there's a mistake or a change, you have to scale that back. So do phased launches. And then next is education in app. So Coinbase has earn campaigns and other learnings. When we think about the next bull run, we're going to see unprecedented adoption. And product and service firms who prioritize education for their users in app when they need it, really going to separate themselves from general usage where those products and services don't have that education in app. And then innovation. At the core of innovation is discipline. And what I mean by that is innovation can sometimes lead to an endless loop of trying to solve a problem many ways. And even by definition, innovation is acknowledging that a problem can be solved multiple ways. And so I think it's important to first start with a hypothesis so you don't find yourself having a solution looking for a problem, but you have a problem that's in search of a solution. And so as simple as a hypothesis being, if you input A, then B will be true, and really align on the purpose of innovation for whatever initiative you have. The next is introducing constraints, again, to avoid kind of an endless barrel, endless investment, and to get to the next stage of confirming your hypothesis. If you can confirm that and get to what solves for that hypothesis, then you've kind of achieved the goal of that first step of innovating for whatever problem you're solving for. And so timing constraints, resourcing constraints, technology constraints. Really make sure when you're innovating, you want to get to the end point of knowing what direction to go so that you can take the next step. And so when you think about solving for everything, that can lead down a very different path than solving for the immediate thing to get to the next step. And then obviously feedback loops. You think about A/B testing with our customers, making sure users and customers have different options. We're analyzing those results. We're quickly getting those feedback loops in place, and we're incrementally changing. And it's okay to change when you have different data points on your innovation process. All right, next we're covering strategy across market coverage, ecosystem, and utility. So for market coverage, when you're in a bull run and when you're in a bear market, your coverage strategy is going to be different, and that's okay. It's important to take learnings from the last bull run as you're in the bear market, knowing what to anticipate, knowing that whatever problems or challenges you may have had in the last bull run, you're going to have in kind of exponentially, or you'll have it again if you haven't addressed it. And so we really like to think of our market coverage as having optionality depending on market conditions. And then depth versus breadth, meaning do you have wider coverage or do you narrow markets, segments, customers, and provide depth of services? And every firm is different, so can't say one or the other is right. But when we think about bear markets, we really want to fortify our core products. And when we're at the bull run, we can start looking at a bit more depth in our products because that adoption, that conversation, that narrative through data analysis, through feedback from customers, it's a lot more active. And then our ecosystem. Coinbase is known for building the tools for the broader ecosystem. And various products and services out here today may play a similar role or have opportunities to explore that. So enabling, for us, we enable builders, our developers, our institutions, but you may have other builders or folks that provide usability to your platform or to your product and service. So you want to make it easy for them to come on to provide whatever they're offering onto, if you're a platform or a service, so that then your customers can access it. Very important to make sure that they also kind of have an onboarding piece to them as well. So important to make sure to fortify your builders in that sense. And then connecting users. We introduced wallet messaging, I think a few months back. Again, like it seems small, but it has a profound impact on ensuring the users that are active in the bear market right now are finding ways to connect, are knowing that they exist, that they can communicate with each other. And every kind of Bitcoiner out here that's offering a product or service, their users likely will benefit from being connected. And they look to companies like ours to help facilitate that. And then partnerships. If you're not in your kind of core space, make sure you work with partners that it's a win-win when everyone's doing well, that incentives are aligned, and that again, you're not extending outside of your core products, your mission, and again, you're building that ecosystem of support, partnerships, and again, win-win for everyone. And then next is our utility, and I like to call this our bitter versus better place. The best way I can explain what that means is my personal story is when Apple AirPods came out and I saw the first commercial, I never realized how much I hated wired headphones until they told me I should hate wired headphones. And so we think about the bitter versus better place. Draw that distinction for what you're offering for adoption, the benefits of Bitcoin, the benefits of moving on to these services, what people are experiencing today, and how that better place will be tomorrow. And I've sat in on a number of talks and spoken with many folks here, and education just continues to be one of the biggest factors in preparing not only product and service providers, but even adoption. And so it's on us to help kind of show that and draw that comparison. Connecting allies. When you think about your your strategy and your market and the people's lives that you're trying to change, if there are other advocacy groups or communities that those are part of, find those allies, and as in spirit of that utility, not only drawing the bitter and better place with folks that use your products, also find those allies so that they can help drive home that utility, that betterment, those improvements, because they're also encouraged to help their constituents do better. And then inclusivity, making sure the bar is not too high for someone new coming into the next bull run, demystifying some of the complexities, and know where you fit in the ecosystem. For Coinbase, we're an entry point to many that are new to crypto and Bitcoin. You might be doing something a bit more advanced, and that's okay too. Just meet your customers where they are, products and services where they are, and just know that that's going to be really critical when you're having mass adoption. I do want to share something that we did on the utility side, and this goes to the bitter versus better place. And so in Washington, D.C., we've recently been really driving home our bitter versus better place strategy with politics, because we're entering in a election cycle, and there's still not very clear regulations across the board. It might be hard to read, but drawing that comparison, for example, we got a money truck, those armored trucks, wrapped it in Coinbase Blue, and on the side says, "The future doesn't move on a money truck." And we've said things like, your money's stuck in traffic, just really trying to draw the comparison that there's a whole another way to solve for this and raising that awareness. In parallel, we had some cold brew coffees, said, "Wake up, America." Made sure to show that we have 52 million Americans that own crypto, and then our nutrition label are actual facts. So how many users are Democrats, Republicans, and a number of other elements there. And this is on Twitter if you did want to try to zoom in and get more information. But again, bitter place versus better place, connecting allies, drawing utility, taking folks that care about those communities and driving some type of action. And another way we did that is try to pair against other constituent groups. So a good example is 5 times the Americans that own crypto. There are 5 times the Americans that own crypto than even the electric vehicle. And so we're trying to draw the comparison for the constituents, for the allies we need to say, if you care about these aspects in the community, here's a way to help measure that against other constituents and users. And again, trying to build that utility in an actionable way so we can connect the allies. But we have to do a lot of the heavy lifting as well because it's still new for many people. So this is a fun one. Probably in the past few months we've been driving home, and I live in Washington, D.C., so I've been seeing this pretty actively. Okay, and then last is our operations. So again, 3 categories here. For our infrastructure, in the bull run, we were racing with many other companies that were racing to provide what our customers and users needed at the bull run. With that, there was a lot of slowdown as the bear market happened to identify opportunities to go back and reassess the decisions we made, the pace we're moving to really fortify. So a great example is our vendor strategy. Knowing that, especially vendors that you have at scale, everything's negotiable. Everyone's in a tough time right now. And so revisiting your footprint with vendors that you consider kind of critical for your operations, your business. And that gets to the next piece, which is know what is your critical services, what are your critical functions. If they were to go away tonight, would that break the idea, the business that you're operating, or the idea that you have? And make sure you have a fallback plan, you have strong vendors there. You might invest more in making sure those services are fortified. So this just goes into not everything is equal when you're looking at bull versus bear market cycles. So your products, your infrastructure, you kind of need to know where that investment is needed to continue and where kind of keeping the lights on and maintaining status quo is fine. And then tech debt, of course, microservices, your architecture, your data structure, all of that is super important to do now in the bear market. I think this goes without saying. Many products and services are doing that today. For workforce, for those that have a bit larger footprints, we like to think of workforce in terms of drivers. So you might have a operations team, you might have a product development team, marketing. Some are less volatile with the market, and some are directly correlated. So really critical to know how your workforce is being managed, where those drivers come from. If you have part of your workforce that is heavily impacted by market fluctuation, then I'd recommend to explore those opportunities to identify what skills are really critical to retain, and then how do you partner with either other workforce companies or those that can help augment your operations and staff in a way that they can help scale, but that they're partnered with you on that while you maintain the accountability for what that service and skill set is, but also the quality of it. So if you ever scale contingent workforce at volume, make sure you have good, strong quality management, because at the end of the day, people that use our products and services don't care who's doing it. They expect the quality of your brand. And so if you do go down a contingent workforce path, make sure you have really good quality management on your side to ensure that it's producing the results you need. And then decision making, which is the last one, and I hope kind of wraps this all up, which is at the end of the day, we're all making micro decisions, larger decisions, faster during the bull run decisions. And so principles are important. Use data where you can. Make decisions quickly. Very few decisions cannot be undone. And so recognize that if you're in analysis paralysis, that at the end of the day, with the lack of making a decision also affects your ability to move forward. So these are principles. From a methods perspective, I think of it as four Ds. You want to determine what decision is needed to be made. You want to document your options. And then you want to debate as well as you can the viability of all those options. That debate is very important to have. And then you get to a decision. So it's determine, document, debate, decide. And oftentimes, you want to have one person that is accountable for that decision. And in cases where others involved may not align on that decision maker, in some ways, has made the decision. So we like to disagree and commit in those cases, which is decision has been made, the owner of that outcome has made that call, and we're all going to align on supporting that. And that gets to the supportive structure. You can't really do this if your product or service or business isn't looking at strategy, looking at decisions on an incremental basis. So, for example, we will plan quarterly as an entire company, so that we can align on who needs what dependencies are needed across other teams. We make the decisions uniformly. We move forward with objectives and key results, and we have an ecosystem. We have kind of a structure that really incorporates a incremental decision-making process, adapting to new data, and frankly, it does also come top-down. So the supportive structure needs to be from almost a leadership level to ensure that teams could make decisions collectively where they have these trade-offs, that change with new data is encouraged, but also documenting that and having clarity on why decisions were made. With that being said, that should be the wrap of my talk. Happy to take any questions if time permits. I will take no questions because I appreciate it. No tomatoes have been thrown. Thank you. Thank you.